I'm Victoria. I'm a child and adolescent psychiatrist, parent coach, and educator, and I'm also a mum. And I'm doing a series of videos all about how to use the four essentials of balanced parenting, kind of in practical things. So I've got some questions that people have asked me from within the group, and I really wanted to talk about them using the four essentials of balanced parenting. So today I'm going to be talking about how to split our time. So if you're a busy mum, a working mum, if you have a lot of children and maybe you're also working, how do you actually use that time in a way that is helpful to them, that helps them feel loved, and that really helps things run smoothly when it comes to your family? If you're not already subscribed to the group, please do join. It's a free group and we have all the videos there now. You can ask questions and we'll do videos about them. Always stay tuned and I'll talk a bit about how to manage our time with kids using the four essentials of balanced parenting. So I think the main thing to think about when it comes to how we spend our time and how to use time that maybe we don't have a lot of if you're a working mum is basically making sure the time that we do spend with our kids counts. And the way I like to think about it is thinking about it in terms of the four essentials, is how do I use the time in order to meet some of the four essentials? Because what can sometimes happen, especially if you're very busy, is you end up leaning on the side of lots of boundaries because you need people to be ready, you need them to be getting out the door, you need them to tidy their rooms. You're setting a lot of sort of tasks and boundaries. So often you end up sort of leaning towards that. And because you maybe have a bit less time with your kids, the sensitivity and the nurture, for example, might contract and not be as strong because you just haven't got the time to do that. So I think what I would think about is spending time with them that you do have in a way that helps your sensitivity and that also nurtures them. And the sensitivity, for example, is just an opportunity often to have a conversation, especially if you have older kids. For younger kids, sensitivity, for babies and for toddlers, is just sort of time spent together. Whatever time you do spend together, you learn their cues better, and it's really good. But for older kids, a lot of the sensitivity comes from spending time together that allows you to talk. And this could be alongside doing something. So, for example, you could be cooking together, or you could be tidying up together, you could be doing any kind of task together. But as long as it's a task that allows you to do some talking while you're doing it, it can actually be a great time for sensitivity. So perhaps doubling up some of the times and making them times that allow for those conversations, that allow you to know your child better, that allow you to kind of be better able to decipher their cues because you know them better, is a good way of doing that, I guess, in if you're a bit strapped for time. So think of different ways that you could spend time with your kids that maybe also involve something practical, but allows them to be there alongside you and to talk to you while you're doing that. I often find that doing actually really supports talking. If you just sit a child down and say, now tell me what's happened, often the conversation is much harder to have than if you're alongside them tidying up, or I do cooking and baking with my daughter sometimes. Actually, conversation flows a lot more naturally because there's no pressure to talk. And certainly for older kids and teens, that's a really great way of getting them to open up, is actually do stuff with them. So think about how you can double up some of the maybe task time, as you might see it, to actually spend time with them as talking time as well. And every parent will usually have some time they spend just with their kids. And I think if you are a parent who's on the phone a lot and you struggle to just, switch off to be with your kid, even if it's, 10 minutes or half an hour, find that time that you can just switch your phone off, you can put everything down, you can be fully present. Because really, 15 minutes of you being fully present and without your phone is much more important than 2 hours when you're kind of there but you're sort of on your phone and you're going outside and you're checking your laptop and you're not actually there, because that won't count as time with your child. Whereas the 15 minutes where your electronics are down, you're spending time with them, you're doing things that both of you want to do, that's going to count for a lot more. So do set some of that time aside. If it's shorter, as long as it can be fully engaged with your child, that's probably more important than, as I say, lengthy periods where you're busy. The doing things alongside them is slightly different because you're doing a task together. and that's slightly different to them sort of being with you while you're doing something else. That is slightly different. Sharing a task is a much more interactive thing that helps, communication. Whereas them trying to watch a film with you while you're on the phone, well, they're trying to watch a film and you're on the phone, so that's not really doing something together. So definitely find some time where you can commit to them, and during that time, try and do something that's nurturing for them. So usually engage in an activity that they would find really interesting or playful. So it might be something that you decide to play together. So shared enjoyment, playing together in some way, whether that's a sport, whether that's a game, whether it's just having a bit of a mess around, really, dance around the kitchen. It doesn't really matter what it is, but as long as it's enjoyable to both of you and playful, that can be one way of nurturing. Or it can be nurturing them in an activity that they really enjoy doing that you can help with. If your child, for example, I don't know, likes to sew or something, and they're really struggling with something, they want to make something a bit more complex that they're not really got the skills for yet, you can be part of helping them do that. And that can be your time with them as nurturing something that they really enjoy doing. So it's really using the time that you do have in a way that will kind of get the most out of it. That's probably how I would approach it, using the four essentials of balanced parenting.